As we're talking with a bunch of our customers and in the industry and hearing the resource constraints that they have, and when they're going through the calculus of do we do this in-house or do we, offshore to a provider that's their core competency, one of the things that they struggle with is really what do you want to prioritize as a business? We prioritize business and helping companies with our services just based on that service. So with penetration testing, that is our core business. We invest in our people. We give back to the community in our blogs. So you can see that we have the cutting edge resources and methodologies that make companies feel secure when we do their tests. One of the things that they actually struggle with is, should they even be using those resources in their company, really and lose focus of some of their core competency. So if they're worried about security, which they should be, but they're worried about it internally, they might not even have the right talent that's able to look at that problem set that they have and tackle it. So when we find most of them, reaching out and dipping their toe in the water of specifically on testing, it comes back to looking at long-term, do we want to be in this business? Do we want to have to hire and retain these people where other people are probably better at it? And then on a costing, is it advantageous to work with someone that is their core business and actually more cost effective as opposed to trying it and building it in-house where there are biases that become prominent in the industry. We don't have those biases when we come in and assess. It's independent third party. So there's a couple of things that organizations tend to look at when we have these conversations with them. So when we talk with our customers and in the industry, and we really talk about the time and the talent issue. Talent can speed up time, automation can speed up time, and that's where companies tend to struggle when you have to hire and onboard someone. As we're in this business, we do it very, very quick. When organizations are looking to do it, first off, they need to find someone or work with a recruiter to help bring in the right talent. But how do they vet that talent? Over here we have senior leaders with many years of experience, and across the board, especially inside SpiderLabs, years and years of experience to vet these people to give the right talent. Most organizations, I find, underestimate the amount of time it takes to put on a program and the amount of talent that it takes to actually execute their goals once they start developing it. And they find themselves overwhelmed by taking maybe one person's opinion that had tried to do it somewhere else and really end up off on a tangent when they could have ended up focused exactly on the problem, working with professionals like ourselves. Yeah, so in my opinion, the security leaders that we talk with, they have one of the toughest jobs in an organization, right? They stay up at night thinking about ways adversaries are trying to go after the organization and really what can go wrong. The first step that we really want them to take in that journey is identify their assets. If you don't know what's in there, you have a very hard time justifying your spend to the board, getting the right resources, understanding your right focus. So we definitely like them to identify what they have in their environment. And in this hybrid environment, it's becoming increasingly complicated with cloud, with IoT, with all these non-traditional devices that are entering a network. So once they identify it, right, then they need to work with their senior leaders because it really involves time and money. And so once you understand what you have really on a piece of paper, then you can start chipping away at what you need to do. And from a testing standpoint, right, once you identify or do a discovery scan and some other techniques to find out what you have, then you start going through this maturity model of, all right, let's do a vulnerability assessment. Let's look at our compliance versus our security needs, and let's scope out something for every asset we have in our environment. As soon as you've done that and you understand a good footprint that you have, how vulnerable you are, you want to mature to really penetration testing and taking it a step further. And in my opinion, that piece needs to be manual. We find a lot of times where we're able to link a couple things together that would have fallen under a threshold of reporting for a vulnerability assessment and taking that to the exploitation phase. And so once you've done that, you start understanding in your environment and your network what can go wrong with your vulnerabilities. As you get more mature and more spend and more buy-in from your board, you really should start looking at these exercises. And these exercises such as a red team, purple team, some in the industry are calling it adversary simulation. They're really around a different goal from the pen test, which the pen test, you get a report, it has your findings, it helps you understand what to work on. With those exercises, the red team really looks at it from an adversarial standpoint and what can a bad actor do to my whole organization. And with the purple team, then you tend to look at, okay, I know I have some weaknesses. People have identified them. How do I make a process that's repeatable, not just for a single incident, but really the root cause of it? So if phishing's your problem and you know it, right? You've been phished, you've been breached. Focusing on the alert from the one payload is not the solution. Where a purple team really works hand in hand with the organization is, what is the process now when something weird happens in my network, an alarm comes out, that we've made a process that we can quickly identify, detect, and respond to that incident in a matter of minutes, because it's getting more prominent in the industry. The dwell time is what impacts a lot of organizations.